Well, good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Leadership Edge. I'm your host, Dr. P. Ronald Wilder. Thank you so much for tuning in on this Tuesday. It's a wonderful day. I trust that you've had a great day and that you've been victorious and you're ready to sit down, you're eating dinner or just past dinner and you want to talk some leadership. Hey, you're in the right place because this podcast, The Leadership Edge, is all about leadership. People ask me, why you talk about leadership? Because leadership is everything. Everything rises and falls on leadership, okay? If we don't have no leadership, we don't stand a chance. And so my goal and my desire is to give you that edge. We all are looking for that edge, and I want it. And so if I can give it to you, I don't know everything about leadership, but guess what? We know quite a bit. And so what we do know, we share. And so that's our goal, to talk leadership, all things leadership from every perspective, various different genres. And so, great. Thank you for tuning in. Now, listen, before we get rolling, don't forget you're watching us on BGTV Studios. You're probably watching on the Facebook page. If you are and you have not liked and followed, go ahead, like and follow. Go ahead, hit the share button, and then comment while you're watching. Also on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. BGTV Studios YouTube channel, subscribe. We want to increase our subscriber list, and so, amen. But when you subscribe, it also gives you access to all the other podcasts. There's some great podcasters on this platform, other than myself and the other great ones. When I first started in February of 24, there were only 4 of us podcasting. Now there are upwards of 30, I think, with people waiting in the wings. And so BGTV Studios is growing, and we want you to grow with us. So help support the podcast, comment on them, whether it's mine or whoever, and amen, be a supporter, okay? And I'll tell you at the end of the broadcast how you can support it financially also. All right, let's talk leadership. Leadership 101, part 2. We started talking about this last week, and we're talking about the people issues of leadership. Leadership is filled with people issues. We established the fact that it go with the territory. No one's immune. No leader is immune to the issues that come with people. It just go with the territory. There's some things you come to expect. It's a part of the burden of leadership. We were talking about people that you've outgrown, that, you've moved on and they've stood still. And the idea is not to stand still with them. You hope you can help them come up. But if they don't, you got to keep going. Okay? Why? Because here's what happens when people don't grow. They get stuck and tied to yesterday. See, you over here, you in the future, you growing. And they stuck in yesterday. They're dealing with old God issues and all of that, and you done moved on. Here's how we used to do it. That's what happens. They pull you back into the past when you're trying to go forward, You're almost like Michael Corleone in Godfather 3 when he's trying to get out of the life of crime and go legit and be a legitimate businessman. And they come at him to assassinate him. He realizes he must respond. And he says, every time I try to get out, they pull me right back in, And that's what people that have not grown will do to you if you allow them. You're trying to go forward, but they keep pulling you back into the past. They keep pulling you back to where you used to be. They keep pulling you back to how things were, okay? So, now, another people issue that leaders deal with, and when you engage with leaders, you have to watch for this. You ever had a leader ask you to do something, or you as a leader ask someone to do something, and they say, well, that's not my job? That happens a lot in corporate or in the job sector. Guess what? It even happens at church. It even happens in ministry. I can't even remember growing up in church, when I was pastoring a church which I've been doing since 1980. So I'm 45 years, and it's all I've been doing for the last 45 years is pastoring. But in that time, I've served under leaders. I've served under three great leaders. And I've served in different capacities. I've served as administrative assistant to the bishop and all of that. And I've been asked to do a whole lot of things. I can't remember ever telling my leader that's not my job. Although I was asked to do stuff that wasn't my job. Okay? I was asked to do things that was not my job. It was somebody else's job who did not do it. But because the leader asked me to do it and handle it, guess what? I did it and I handled it. And I never said that's not my job. I never gave him any bit of resistance. I just did it. Now, sometimes I would find out whose job it was after it was over and let them know that I took care of their job and hold them accountable, that they need to get on the ball and get stuff done. But I would never tell a leader. I've had people tell me, that's not my job. I would never tell my leader that. Never. Why? Because it just comes off. Because obviously, if the leader asks you to do it, it's something that hadn't got done that they want done. And it could be very well they know whose job it is. But they know you can get the job done. They're putting confidence in you, and you're throwing back at them saying it's not my job. I found out that when you're dealing with people or engaging leaders, you have to look for the 3 C's. The first C is character. Can I trust them? If they're not doing their job, guess what? You can't trust them. But you got to look at their character. Can I trust them? Number 2, competency. Can they do the job? Can they do the job? And number 3 is chemistry. Will they fit in where we are? Or will they fit who we are? Because every team got to have great chemistry, okay? And that's the thing you got to remember. It says you build leadership teams, you got to build chemistry. Chemistry is one thing I require of my leadership team. Because you can have talent and no chemistry. I often use this analogy. I'd rather have chemistry over talent any day. Because you can have talent with no chemistry and don't win anything. Here's the point. Let's go back, 4 or 5 years ago. NBA basketball, Los Angeles Lakers. Some of you Laker fans out there. They had 5 Hall of Famers on that team. They had LeBron James. They had Carmelo Anthony. They had Dwight Howard. They had Russell Westbrook. Who else was on that team? May have been Anthony Davis. They had 5 bona fide Hall of Famers on one team. And guess what? They didn't even make the playoffs. Not only did they not win the championship, they didn't even make the playoffs. You got 5 Hall of Famers, stellar careers on one team, and they don't make the playoffs. Why? Because they had great talent, but they didn't have chemistry. The team didn't work together well. They didn't like each other. They didn't get along well. They couldn't mesh on the court. And as a result, all that talent, they had no chemistry. Then you take a team like the Golden State Warriors with Steph, Clay, and Draymond and all them. They had chemistry going out the door. They showed the world what chemistry is all about. And they won 4 championships with the chemistry. So you got to look at that when you add people to your team, is how they fit. I've had people come to my ministry who are greatly talented, but they didn't fit the chemistry. And I've spent too much time, we spent too much effort building chemistry among our team. That's the one thing we have among our leadership team at Covenant Church International. We got chemistry. Okay? We got chemistry, you know. And we have some talent voids we need to fill, and we'll fill them. But we don't have chemistry voids. People have got to have chemistry, okay? When you get chemistry, now people can speak openly and honest to you, and they can give you good perspective. I love people that give me a different perspective. Pastor, look at this from a different view. That's all. You need that as a leader. People that can give you, okay, a good perspective. Now, how do we as a team grow? How does the leader help the team to grow? We want to grow in two ways. We want to grow in numbers and in depth, okay? So how do we do that? Well, the first thing you got to do, you got to surround yourself with people who challenge you to grow, okay? So you got to be in environments that challenge you to grow. I know some leaders, they love to be always the smartest person in the room. They want the most talented, most gifted, okay? Well, you're not going to grow if you're in every room you're in, you are number one. If every room you go in, if every table you sit at, you are king of that table, you're never going to grow. You got to go around people who are sharper than you, who are smarter than you, who are more gifted than you, who are more suave and debonair than you. You got to do that because that is what's going to challenge you to be the best. I have went around people that I was totally in awe of, almost nervous in their presence because they were great leaders. They were the bomb. And I'm sitting there watching, admiring. I'm not even talking. I am listening and learning. Because you grow by surrounding people who challenge you to grow. If you only surround yourself with people like you, listen to me very carefully. If you only surround yourself with people like you, guess what? Your weaknesses are never challenged. The only way to grow from my weaknesses is they have to be challenged. And if you got people just like you, if you're always the smartest in the room, your weakness never gets challenged. Do you know something? This is powerful. Do you know? Let me just read this to you. Let me just read this to you. It's called The Company You Keep. It's better to be alone than in the wrong company. I want to say that again. It's better to be alone by yourself than in the wrong company. Tell me who your best friends are, and I will tell you who you are. If you run with wolves, you'll learn how to howl. But if you associate with eagles, you'll learn how to soar to great heights. A mirror reflects a man's face, but what he really is like is shown by the kind of friends he chooses. The simple but true fact of life is that you become like those who you closely associate with for the good or the bad. The less you associate with some people, the more your life will grow and improve. Anytime you tolerate mediocrity in others, it increases your mediocrity. An important attribute in successful people is their impatience with negative thinking and negative acting people. As you grow, your associates will change. As you grow, your associate will change. Some of your friends will not want to go on. They'll want to stay where they are. Friends that don't help you climb will want you to crawl. Your friends will stretch your vision or choke your dream. I'm going to say that again. Friends that don't help you climb will want you to crawl. Your friends will stretch your vision or choke your dream. They're going to do one or two things. They're going to stretch your vision or they're going to choke your dream. And those that don't increase you will eventually decrease you. Wow. Think about this. It's in my notes here. Never receive counsel from unproductive people. As a leader, never receive counsel from unproductive people. Never discuss your problems with someone incapable of contributing to the solution. Why would you discuss a problem you have with someone who can't contribute to your solution? Because those who never succeed themselves are always the first to tell you how. Think about that. The ones who didn't succeed themselves are always the first to tell you how. Not everyone has the right to speak into your life. Don't give everybody that right. Don't follow anyone who's not going anywhere. Be careful where you stop to inquire for directions on the road of life. Be careful who you stop and inquire for directions on the road of life. Last point. An anonymous author said this: wise is the person who fortifies his life with the right friendship. Wise is the person who fortifies his life with the right friendships. Choosing the right people. Choosing the right people is something that we all must give attention to. Because the people we choose have the ability to make or break us either way. Either way. These are people issues that we're talking about. Now, people issues, again, brings pain. Why? Because what brings pain? Change. Change is something that happens around us all the time. Change happens in leadership. Okay? One of the skills that a leader must develop is the ability to lead change. Is the ability to lead change, to lead the organization, to lead the church, the business, the school, whatever you're into, through seasons of change. The real issue is not if change is going to come, but rather when change comes. Because change is coming. There are two elements of the universe that are immovable. That's time and change. And here's what time will always do. Time always brings change. Time does not allow things to stay the same. You're watching me on Facebook Live, on YouTube. You're watching this podcast. This is a result of time and change. 25, 30 years ago, to do what we're doing now, the technology was not available to do it. There was no social media. There was no Facebook. In order to be seen by the audience I'm seeing with, I would have had to go to a television station, pay thousands of dollars, and get a television broadcast to do what I'm doing. Now, everybody, because of technology and live, everybody now has a potential global platform. Do you know that when you go on Facebook Live, you are a potential global audience, have a global audience? I know this because I have people contacting me that watch our church Facebook Live in Africa and other parts of the world. They'll reach out, they'll direct message me. You know, you don't know who's watching, you don't know where. And that's being done for free. It's technology now. What brought about that change? Time. Now, we don't want to go back to a day. Everybody walks around with a cell phone today. Do you know that 30 years ago, it probably wasn't 30, 40 years ago, it probably wasn't 100 cell phones in the country. Just elite rich people had them in the automobile, but we wasn't walking around with them. And them that had them had them big old carry cases. But time and change have taken us to now. Everybody has it. As a matter of fact, you leave home without your phone, you feel like you lost. You go back home and get it. You'd rather leave your wallet than your phone almost. Because if you got your phone, you can function financially because you can zip it, you can Apple Pay, you can still do things without it. That's time and change. Okay? Change is always happening. Change is the only thing that's brought progress, and yet it's the thing we fight the most, especially in the church world. Leaders have to know how to navigate change. Change is not your enemy. Change is a friend. Change is the only thing going to take you where you want to go. It's the only thing going to get you to the next place. Okay? Change. Change. How to navigate change. How to maneuver change. How to embrace change. It's not your enemy. Change is not of the devil. Okay? Change is the only thing that's brought progress and the thing we fight the most. And some change force you to change with it. Up until about 2 years ago, I had an iPhone 8 or 10 something. And Apple decided, I'm going to make you upgrade, P. Ronald. We're going to stop supporting the phone you got. So they told me there's no more support, technical support. We don't have no parts, so I had to upgrade to a 14. It made me change. And that's the way things are. Life makes you change. You can try to fight change and stay where you are. And as a result, you'll get ran over. You'll be left behind. So leaders, let's learn to manage change. We'll talk more about change in our next podcast. My time is about up for the day. But we'll talk about change. All right? Now, listen, time is up. Thank you for yours. Don't forget to visit our website, my website, pronaldwilder.com. That's P. Ronald, P-R-O-N-A-L-D, W-I-L-D-E-R, pronaldwilder.com. It's my personal leadership web page, site. You'll find my book on there, The ABCs of Leadership. You'll find some things about me, but also you'll find my shop page. I have a shop page where you can go on there and pick out some of our leadership lessons and download them. We did several leadership seminars and talking to church leaders, business leaders. We have some great ones. One of my favorite one, if every leader needs to get this for his team, it's called The Rules of Engagement. It's a two-part series, The Rules of Engagement. It's how we function as a team at Covenant Church. It sets the parameters for how the team should function. So go ahead and get those. You can download them. Amen. The best buy on my website is the bundle package. Looking at just the jump drive. Every leadership lesson, over 30 of them on here. You can just plug them into your computer and listen to them and download them. You got them. If you were to buy all of my leadership material, it'll cost you about $300. You can get this for about $125, less than half. So go ahead and get the best package. Now listen, BGTV Studios needs your support. This is a great platform that God is using and giving people like myself and others a voice. And so we want you to support BGTV Studios. This is good ground to sow in. You can be a one-time giver or you can be a monthly giver, okay? Whatever you give goes directly to BGTV Studios. It's on the screen now for you. There are 3 ways to give. You see the QR codes. You can scan them. There's the website, bgtvstudios.com. There's Venmo, and there's Cash App. You can use either one of those. Please go ahead and give. Again, 100% of what you give goes directly to the podcasters do not share. We don't split. There's no split, no percentage. Every dime. I personally give toward BGTV Studios, me and my wife, because I believe in this platform. I believe in what they're doing, and I want to see it grow, and I want to be blessed, okay? So what you make happen for someone else, God will make happen for you. Go ahead and do that. Thank you for your support. Listen, my time is up. Got to go. We'll see you on next Tuesday, and we'll pick back up talking about leadership. But until then, this is your host, Dr. P. Ronald Wilder, reminding you of 2 things. Leadership matters, and leaders lead. I'll see you on next Tuesday.